first engineering for the agenda.
This is the backup paperwork for this meeting?
Yes.
With that change to the agenda, is there any discussion?
Move to approve
Second.
the agenda.
Okay. I have a motion by Mr. Deaver and Mr. Alred. Is there any further discussion or any comment by the public on this item? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, being none, motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Are there any community announcements? Yes, sir.
Well, I'll make my director. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Yes.
All right. My name's Dave Euzarraga, and I'm getting ready to build a 248-unit apartment project in Rosamond. Purchased the project back in 2004. It's been a little while on getting it started, but trying to help the employee issue out here, both in this area, Cal City, and then Palmdale, Lancaster. It's going to be a secured compound, club-like atmosphere. We have two outbuildings down by the pool area that are both 2,800 square feet. There'll be working cubicles for our tenants there to be able to work while their family's out by the pool area or the workout area, what have you. My big thing I'm trying to get people's attention to is it's tough, especially with the kind of business that you guys do out here at the air base, to get a hold of their HR departments to let them know what's coming down the path. So what my goal is here is to hopefully draw some attention. I've left some flyers here. I'll put one in the flight room and one in the restaurant. And again, trying to reach out to the HR departments in the area. So a lot of their employees don't have to be bussed in. Some from San Bernardino all the way in on a daily basis, if that's the case. So that's why I came. My name's Dave Euzarraga. There's some flyers here, and again, put one in the flight room and one in the
Yeah,
restaurant.
why don't you build some of those in Mojave? We desperately need housing in this town.
Well, like I mentioned, 2004, I bought into this project in Rosamond. My son got transferred to Edwards Air Force Base, had him buy a house here in Palmdale, saw what he got for his money. So I came from Orange County, sold all my stuff, and got out here. So Rosamond is where I kind of landed.
Right.
I met a developer there, Dale Tittlemeyer. He was instrumental in building a lot of Rosamond out back in the 90s. But that is a big Cal City. Even this area here could be another stepping stone for me.
Well, we could certainly appreciate it. We need it. We've got the land. Most of it's already ready to go. So.
My biggest hurdle in my background is mortgage banking and real estate for 35 years. No one would believe me.
Yeah.
And trying to get the banking institutions and or investors to believe me has been a very uphill
Yeah,
battle.
well, I built some apartments here years ago and had the same problem.
But now with this getting launched, people are going to open their eyes and see the need.
Yeah.
So that's the key.
Thank you
Good
very
luck.
much.
All right, thank
I
you.
have a question, I just have to. Is this income qualified or subsidized housing?
No, this is market rate. It is
That's what we
HUD.
need.
Yeah, it is HUD insured, but it's not Section 8. So HUD's insured. HUD was the only entity that would actually look at my project. Chase Bank, Wells Fargo, none of the institutional banks would have financed me here. And HUD came in and looked at it, and actually HUD wants to make a flagship out of my project here for market rate, not Section 8. So that's the key.
Where are you putting it up in Rosamond at?
It's in between Harvel Road and Harvel Place on Sierra Highway. So if you left the base and made a left, leaving Edwards Air Force Base, made on Rosamond Boulevard, made a left on Sierra, it's down about a little over a quarter mile on the right. It's the next open spot that you run into. It's 13 acres right there, in between Harvel Road and Harvel Place.
Is that, which side of the crazy corner is that? Where that road goes like that?
It's before that.
Okay.
And also in Rosamond, there, you know, the Presbyterian Church, or Pentecostal Church, is developing 28 acres off at, I believe it's Patterson, and the freeway. There's 28 acres that they're getting ready to break ground on this summer. You know.
Good.
So there's some things going on. You know, we bought a commercial piece already on Diamond Street, right next to the ambulance place. So we're trying to put our best foot forward, and I believe in the area, like I said, and bringing the type of quality people that we'll have in our project. It's just going to do an uplifting to the whole area. Bring 500 people in. You know, it's going to be, you know, like I said, I believe in it, and I've been hanging on for 14 years. So.
Well, good luck to you.
Thank you,
Yes,
guys.
good luck. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
When do you plan to break ground?
We'll probably be breaking October of this year, probably on the outside, October.
Okay.
Are there any other community announcements? We will move to consent agenda then. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Balentine, second by Mr. Deaver. Is there any public comment? Being none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Item 4A, staff report, please.
We have a number of action items, but I think all of these are fairly non-controversial. The first one being item A is the special district risk management workers' comp resolution. So the board members are covered under our workers' comp policy. It's always been the case. SDRMA is now just coming back and asking for a resolution to essentially acknowledge that you're covered under the workers' comp policy. So that's all this resolution is. That's attached. We're looking for a vote on this item.
Are there any questions from the board? Is there any public comment? Is there a motion then?
Motion approved.
Motion by Mr. Parker.
One second.
I'm sorry, Mr. Parker, I cut you off. Second by Mr. Alred. If there's no further discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Being none, motion passes unanimously. Item 4B.
Spaceship Company is in building 14. We're just completing this paperwork in the lease agreement. There was a little bit of a transfer of ownership. One of the gentlemen that we typically negotiate contracts with had left during this time. So we continued the negotiations then with someone else. That's why it's a little bit delayed. But they're requesting a 3-year lease with 1 3-year option to rent the building and land around it.
Point to 14.
14 is right here.
So the south side of Savage?
It's on the north side of Savovich.
Okay,
And so TSC is in this building right here. This is 79.
okay.
They probably within the last year or so took this building and now they want to take this building. So
Oh.
this building was occupied by Export.
That's the old planetarium, right?
No, it's one of the long days.
Oh.
Yeah.
Are there any further questions from the board? Is there any public comment? The chair will entertain a motion.
Motion?
Motion by Mr. Deaver to approve, I take it.
Yes.
Second?
Second by Mr. Parker. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Being none, motion passes unanimously. Item 4C.
So this is another, well, actually, this lease agreement will be directly with Virgin Orbit. So this is building 139, which is this one right here way at the end, backs up to the high school field. And it's not finalized yet because they still don't know how much land they want to occupy around there, but they do want to get the lease executed within the next week or two. So we wanted to bring it to the board for the term. We just have to finalize the land amount to finalize the.
That's the one right in the corner?
It's right in the corner, yes. It's across from Mojave Makers, if you know where that.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Any other questions from the board? Any public comment? Chair will entertain a motion.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Balentine to approve, second by Mr.
Alred.
Alred. Thank you. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Being none, motion passes unanimously. Item 4D.
Scale composites, which I think most of you have probably seen the work, they're increasing power to their main facility, building 78. You can see that there's a trench that's dug under Savovich, so on either side of the road, they're doing the work over there for the last couple of months. So Edison now needs the official easement from us. We don't anticipate this ever being an issue. It kind of runs under the road and through the parking area, so it's really not an ideal place to build. So we're asking for approval on this easement.
Any questions from the board?
Motion approved.
Second.
Any public comment? Motion by Mr. Parker, second by Mr. Deaver.
Is there any issues moving down the road? Should we decide to put anything on top of that?
So there would be an issue with building. There's not necessarily an issue with paving.
Sidewalks, walkways,
That's
that type of
generally
stuff's
okay.
fine?
Yes, it's just building structures.
Sure,
Yeah.
So we have a motion to approve on the table. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Being none, motion passes unanimously. Item 4E.
So this one should be relatively simple. It's a resolution to authorize Joe Hughes, who's now our fire chief, to be the main point of contact for CAL FIRE. So CAL FIRE is the organization, it's a state organization, but they essentially monitor our federal program. So we have a number of pieces of equipment that we have applied for grants. They give us the equipment. Technically, they can call these pieces of equipment back if they want to, but it's on us to maintain them while we have them. So CAL FIRE was contracted to maintain all the equipment for us and sort of monitor this whole grant program. And the only thing they're requesting is the approval of the resolution to authorize Joe Hughes to maintain this agreement with CAL FIRE. There's no changes being made to the contract other than that.
Thank you. Are any questions from the directors?
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Mr. Balentine, second by Mr. Alred. Is there any public comment? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Being none, motion passes. Item 4F.
So this is the item that I requested to add, and this came up subsequent to the posting of the agenda. I need to kind of tell the story here a little bit. So I mentioned a few months ago that we have now won an FAA project, which is to extend this taxiway down, ultimately to the end of the event center. This project has been in the queue for 5 years now. We had it pre-engineered back in 2013 with the assumption that it was going to be the next project, either 2013 or 2014. And essentially it got put on the shelf and we kind of all forgot about it for the last few years. At the time, we had some estimates on the pre-engineering work. So we engaged InterSource Engineering to complete the pre-engineering work, and it was essentially two different phases. Phase one was the pre-engineering work in order to apply to the FAA. Phase two was the pre-engineering work to get the project ready for bid. We're now in the phase two process of the project because we've now been approved by the FAA to move forward. So we're going through the process of getting the project ready to bid. We assumed that when this came to the board in 2013, the entire amount was approved, and that's not the case. So I went back and I dug up the old agenda from 2013, and at the time the board had only approved the $44,400. So we're kind of already in the midst of this, and I have to apologize in advance for not recognizing this in advance. But we incurred some fees already, which is just under $25,000. When I got the additional paperwork, that's what inspired me to do some of the research and identify whether the entire project was approved, and it had not been. So now I'm bringing the second half of the pre-engineering work back to the board and requesting approval for the remaining $49,950 to complete the work.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions from the directors?
Karina, you might want to elaborate a little bit on pre-engineered projects and why we have them. This has been one that's been in the queue, so that if we ever got money, but that seems to be a position that the board learned years ago, that having a pre-engineered project, sometimes we can take advantage of FAA funding at the very last minute when, for some reason, we want to give it to somebody and they don't have the project. So I would say, let's get another one ready.
We will. So I've been talking with Dave about what projects we want to start working on next. The next project that's in the queue with the FAA is the Charlie rehab, which is going to take quite a bit of work to do the pre-engineering, because that's probably between a $10 and a $12 million project. So the pre-engineering on that is going to be substantial. So we may choose a smaller project to get in the queue if the FAA continues to keep Charlie on the shelf. So we've got a couple other smaller projects that we can get ready to go. But you're absolutely right, because this, over the past probably 2 or 3 years, they've come to us and said, we may have some money, do you have a project ready to go? Yes, here it is. And it just hasn't panned out. So there's other airports that have taken priority.
And we're able to recover that pre-engineering fee on the back end of it whenever we get the...
Right, you're absolutely right. And I did mention this in the staff memo. All of this is reimbursable by the FAA. So the complete nearly $100,000 of pre-engineering work that we've done already half of it, all of it's reimbursable by this project.
Are there any other questions? Is there any public comment?
Motion approved.
Motion approved by Mr. Parker. Second by Mr. Deaver. He got you on that one, Terry. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Be none. Motion passes unanimously. Financial report 5A.
Enclosed in your packet is the financial reports for ending January 31st, 2018. On the bank balance, you'll see there's a decrease of $181,000. That's primarily just due to construction that we had during December. And we didn't have as many checks cut in December, so a lot of the checks were clearing in January. So but at this point, we've, each month, we've been caught up on the checks. It's just December didn't have as many checks running. And then we also, if you'll notice, we did a $500,000 transfer from Mission Bank into our LAIF account. And that was long overdue. So then we just have the balance inside of Mission Bank.
Did we change accounts with Mission Bank? Did we?
We have not changed the account as of yet. We did put positive pay on the account.
Okay.
So they did get our account all switched over to where now that we can actually begin doing electronic payments and all of that down the road. So we had to change our account, I mean the login information. So
Are we gonna change the account?
we're gonna change it just to limit the liability.
All right.
But yeah, but as of right now, we do have the positive pay on the account.
Very good.
And then also the
Positive pay as well?
we submit them, so after we do a check run, we're submitting to them a list of all the checks that we cut. So then we submit that, and if anything doesn't match up, and they will send me notification to approve it or not.
I knew what it was, I just wanted to
Okay.
make sure.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
And then the fuel report, we sold 66,000 gallons. Fuel's definitely starting to pick up with the F-18s this first quarter. And on the AR aging, we are in the process of cleaning up some things and working with legal. On the X-Core, we have written off a portion of the balance. And we are working with REM, Nancy Keller, and Continuous Quality in regards to their past due accounts.
Thank you. Are there any questions from the board? I have one comment relative to the check register. Would this be the appropriate time to make that, Karina?
Sure.
This is gonna sound really picky. And it's just because I know I don't seem like I'm an accountant. Seem like, you know, I'm a
Normal person.
I'm a construction worker or something like, or a police officer, and that's what it seems like, but, where we list out the EFTs, can we put that in nice columns so that they all fit, and it's rather than it's just
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
scattered? All
There's
right.
a little OCD.
A little OCD there, that is correct.
That's not that bad, unless it gets pathological.
What's that?
I can live with
Well, I'm having a hard time. I've lived with it for like a year now. I dream about it.
Now we know what these guys dream about.
That's right. All right. But that's when I'm not dreaming about flying airplanes. These are the nightmares.
I get different kinds of dreams, even in my old age.
With that, we're going to move on. Let's see, CEO report.
So,
What about the fitness center? Do we have a comment on that?
I actually have a quick comment on that. So I'm actually meeting with Elevation tomorrow. I'm gonna sit down with their management folks, and the year, so we wanted to try to evaluate this for a year and really understand whether it was beneficial to outsource it to a professional management company. And that year's coming up at the end of March. So I'm gonna sit down with them tomorrow and just try to understand their perspective on how it's gone over the past year. Membership has come up a little bit, try to look at some options, and I'll come back to the board probably in April with a couple different options. The airport is still putting a significant amount of money into it every month just to run it. So we do have a couple of options. It's our facility, it's our equipment. The benefit of having somebody manage it is just reducing the liability, but also having somebody in the running classes. So I'll try to understand if they have any ideas on how to make some changes and reduce some of this overhead. But
could we possibly get a customer satisfaction survey done to see how much our tenants like it?
yeah, I'll ask them that. They're in pretty good contact with customers. Do you have any experience with them?
I don't personally, but a lot of the
10.
guys that work too.
Okay.
10 grand a month, I hope they like it a lot.
Yeah, I know. So we'll talk with them and see what we can do to either cut back on some of the expenses or.
I'm growing weary of that number because I just see so many other things that we can do. And I'd have to be convinced that that benefit that the people on the airport are getting from it is worthwhile to be convinced to continue on. I'm not saying it's not there, I just have to be shown some sort of data.
Well, it's a quality of life thing, and I think we need to.
You wanna see numbers?
Couldn't we hire our
I'm seeing the
own
numbers, that's the problem.
person?
Yeah, we tried that route, last year around this time, well, earlier in the year probably. We presented a couple of different options, and one of them was, gosh, I don't remember what happened in the end. Do you remember, John? I know we had somebody from, I think it was either Cal State or Tehachapi was interested, but I don't think they bid in the end. I think in the end it was just it came down to 2 professional management companies. So we can.
No, I'm speaking about, somebody in the community or something that we can hire as our employee of the airport and put them in there, and then that's their job is to manage the place.
Well, yeah, but we gotta find somebody who's qualified.
Right.
And that's that's the tough thing, and they've gotta be able to, you've gotta provide classes.
Right.
I'd like to nominate Mr. Alred.
Under the current scenario, correct me if I'm wrong, we would need 400 additional membership to break even.
Yeah,
The other question is, do we wanna be in the fitness business?
right.
I don't think so.
We thought, when Monster left, there were almost 500 members. A lot of them in the system were just not purged. So they did a purge back in like August, September, and got rid of some of the names in the system that weren't paying. So they probably increased it by about 150 members, but I hope to get up to 1,000 by now. So we'll consider some options and present those back to the board. The only item on that, I apologize, the CO report was a little bit.
I'm gonna get one of those, like the debt clocks they have in the federal government, but it's gonna be the fitness center, and the numbers are just gonna keep climbing. I'm gonna put it right there.
I wish the government had a clock like that. I never saw one when I worked back there.
Oh, you seen the little calculator, the numbers spinning up with the national debt, it's funny. I'm sorry, I interrupted, go ahead, Karen.
So, the only other item on the CEO report that I did not get a chance to put on the report, because Mike and Carrie and I were talking about it this morning, was the audit. So, what does the board prefer? Do we want to go back out to bid for this year's audit? Do we want to stay with Brown Armstrong and just have them bring a letter back for the board to approve? We'll have to do something, probably take action in April, because if it is Brown Armstrong, I'm hoping to get started a little bit earlier this year.
Well, normally what public agencies do is they use the same one for 4 or 5 years, and then they change just so to keep everybody honest. How long have they been with us now?
Just one.
Yeah, but they did about 5 audits and that did.
No, so that was BHK before.
Oh, okay,
So
okay.
BHK did the 4-year chunk, and then one audit after that, and Brown Armstrong now came in to do our 16-17 audit.
Yeah.
So that was the first year.
If everybody's happy with them, I
What would you recommend?
Yeah, I recommend Brian Armstrong. They are already kind of putting us on their schedule.
okay, good.
So generally, would the board be comfortable if we just ask them for the engagement letter to come back and approve either next meeting or first meeting in April?
I think so. We were pretty pleased with their first
Yeah.
go-around that they did for us, and you guys said they were good to work with, so.
Okay.
You're
Mike, do you have any
you're the
comments on that?
expert, man. You gotta deal with it.
All right.
Both the companies are easy to work with. So.
Yeah.
We don't have any board committees, are there any director comments?
Yes, I have one here, Plane Crazy coming up, at our next Plane Crazy on the 3rd Saturday, the 7th. Oh, it's also St. Patrick's Day, and there will be no drinking in the room here. No Bushmills or anything like that. Do it yourself out in the car park. Anyway, we have a speaker we've had before, Dan Yost. He was in Vietnam. He was a B-47 driver, and he gave us a program about a year or so ago about B-47, which were great to fly but hell to land because they were so streamlined. And now he's going to do something about a much more slower and not quite as glamorous airplane, the Air Force C-7A, a little cargo airplane, and I know the Hansons owned a bunch of them at one time. But these programs keep getting better and more interesting all the time. And we even once in a while, the FA-18 guys come in here, not only stand in the doorway, but participate. And I never noted in my, when I'm writing this for the story for the Valley Press, that they participate, I don't wanna get them in trouble.
Yeah.
But, and we have people coming in here from, you know, this high up, and we have really great speakers that know how to talk to people at all ages, and we're, and, you know, we try to limit it by selling tickets, which is a good deal for the museum. But, we have SRO just about every time, right, Kane?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's really good. We had one of the stranger programs this last month about a guy who built models of airplanes that include even the toilet paper in the head, I think, if it's in that airplane. Well, he built a model that had all the tech documents, you know, all of the, oh, jeez. Anyway, we hope to see everybody there. Thank you. And thanks to the airport for letting us continue to do it. We're continuing to get people from all over the planet coming to this.
So to see the experimental plane coming up next month.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you.
Are there any other director comments? Is there any public comment on an item not on the agenda? If there is none, we will now move into closed session. Thank you so much.